I went looking for more information on why 50 Cent and Interscope broke up. It's real murky and weird, and it's hard to really break down. I couldn't find like one person, like 50 Cent didn't tell the whole thing. I saw the game saying some stuff, but the game lies a lot. So it's impossible to like really piece it all the way together, at least initially. I'm still keep looking. But when I came across that, they were talking about um, around the time that they ended up parting ways was around the time Jay-Z released Magna Carta Holy Grail. And I don't know if you remember, but that album came out in 2013. So you were 10 at the time. But that album was released like directly to Samsung phones. Do you remember hearing about that?
Yeah, I remember that. I definitely remember that. It was like a Sprint deal or something like that.
This one was Sam. I think it was no. This one was just Samsung. It was Samsung phones. The one I know you're talking about, it was a different release. He tried that another time, but this one on July 4th, 2013, Magna Carta Holy Grail became available to 1 million Samsung users directly to their phones for free with the download of a special app. Samsung paid Jay-Z $5 a piece, totaling out to $5 million on the album. This was over 300,000 times. I mean, 300,000 more sales than his highest release prior to that, Kingdom Come, and more than his first four albums combined. But these sales were not counted towards billboards because technically nothing was for sale. Technically, the people in the who had the phone just got it in their phones without paying for it. But I'm here to cape for Jay Z. I'm here to cape for Jay Z. Say why we should count it and why it's crazy that it wasn't counted and why Billboard sort of like that Billboard line makes more sense with this album. Um, if I'm selling a product to Amazon, or let's say I'm selling a product to Target, they're going to buy some upfront, right? And what they do with it at that point is what they do with it, right? Like if Target buys my products to be in the stores, they're going to put it in the stores. If nobody buys it off the shelves, you've already bought it from me. At that point, it's no longer my responsibility to sell it, or no longer my responsibility to do anything with it, right? So he sold those albums to somebody for $5 a piece at a million of them. And if you combine that with how many were actually counted, which it was 528,000 copies. If you add that to the million, that's the seventh highest selling album of all time. Right above the 1989 Taylor Swift Taylor version album that came out last year. Um, and so I say Jay-Z has a top 10 selling album of all time, even if people don't want to count it. I just thought this was interesting because he found a way to make money off. He's selling it like a product because it is, but people just didn't like that because that's not the norm.
I think it would be kind of hard to give him that because if we did that, we'd probably have to retroactively go back and give a bunch of people like higher selling albums, right? Because I'm sure there was other people who sold their product to these different stores and stuff when CDs were a big thing. But I mean, you can't count that as like I guess not a pure album sale because it's not like somebody's buying it like I guess from you. I
Okay.
don't know. I don't
I have
know.
a
That's
question.
kind of confusing, but
I
yeah.
hear you. I hear you. I have a question for you. Let's say Taylor Swift, pre all of this new Taylor version stuff, sells her albums, right? CD versions.
Yeah.
The label goes and buys 10,000 copies and adds that to the Billboard number. Should those numbers be counted?
Well, no, I don't think that should be counted, but I mean they do that. And okay, I guess I can see what you're saying then. If it's like
Yeah.
if the label can go do it, why shouldn't it count at least if I'm selling it to Target or I'm selling it to Ross or I'm selling like I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Russ had 10,000 copies off his last project taken off the Billboard list, and he was knocked from number one to number two because he did some type of merch bundle, and the merch bundle was only allowed through a specific vendor, which was working with all the labels. You know what I'm saying? I just think the games are funky, but in reality, like if you really think about it, I'm making music. The music is the product. I'm selling the product. If somebody comes and says, "Yo, I want a million of them for $5 a piece," I sold a million copies.
No, you're right. You're right. You did. You did, but they're not gonna count it like that just because he's a solo artist. So they're gonna sit here and only do stuff like that for artists that they get in their pocket, I guess.
Hey man, shout out Hove. You know what I'm saying? That's it. That's it. History lesson for the week. You know what I'm saying? Next week, I'm gonna come in with something else. I don't know what yet, but this one, very interesting to me. Very interesting to me.